Welcome to it, sports fans. A different ball game. We've made it all the way to Friday. Congratulations to you and to me, because we've both done it. It is good to be alive. It's great to be great, as they say. It is great to be great. 7:30 on the dot. Welcome to it from the Republic of South Africa. We are in Johannesburg, the city of gold, feeling good, warming up. 24 degrees today, Celsius. Still no wind. So very cold nights, but warm days. So we're getting there. We're getting there. End of August in South Africa generally is the good weather. Cape Town, they're not playing the game because once there's a cold front there, we got problems here. So there might be a cold front still coming, and I am not happy about that. The evenings are, but good to have you with us. I am MKT, and of course, welcome to a different ball game. So tonight we're going to talk about the greatest batsman of all time, and then we'll get into the Q&A. We'll get into the Q&A. Before we get into the Friday Five, by the way, so every Friday I will give you my top 5 list, and today we're going to talk about the greatest batsman of all time. I'll give you my list of the 5 greatest batsmen of all time. The Man United situation is an entanglement. I cannot believe what happened to Harry Maguire, and how do you put yourself in that situation if you're Manchester United captain? Just thought I'd put that out there. My goodness, what an entanglement, as the kids are saying. It's an entanglement. But c'est la vie. This is what happens, people. Welcome to a different ball game. Let's get into it. I told you today, Friday 5. It's one of my favorite things to do in life is compiling sports lists, greatest of all time, best of this, best of that. Every single Friday, I compile my top 5. And today, I've compiled my top 5 of greatest batsmen of all time because I love cricket. You better believe it. So, Friday 5 coming up, folks. It's the 5 greatest batsmen of all time. So, listen. At number 5, it's such an incredibly difficult list to kind of compile. People may say, you're this way inclined, you're that way inclined. But at number 5, and for me, it's really quite simple. You get yourself these types of lists and you go, how do you do it? Because there's 11 batsmen in cricket. Before we get into it, there's 11 batsmen in cricket. And it's nearly impossible to always get it right. But I'm going to give you my opinion. And I mean, do I believe the list that I have? Yes. Yes, I do. And every single Friday, I will make sure that this list comes out. And we're going to get into it. All right, at number 5, I think he's the greatest batsman to probably ever play and be captain. Right? He started under incredible expectation. Right? Before him was Alan Border. He came under crushing pressure and he took it to the next level. The Australians they really became unstoppable under him. 10,000 run. And I think across the board, there isn't a guy who's played more tough innings, grit innings, than this guy at number 5, the one and only. The better war. His name's Steve. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And do you know what? The great thing about this guy is he had his brother's pressure as well. Remember that. Because his brother is an absolute Australian legend. Survived all of that. The toughest man, I believe, to ever play cricket. Didn't wear an arm guard towards the end. At number 4, I think it has to be said, he's probably one of the greatest wicket keepers to ever live. Not only that, he's the only wicket keeper with 10,000 runs or more. 10,000 runs or more. He played in a horrific side for most of that. Him and Jayawardena formed one of the most formidable middle orders in the world, in the history of mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 4, the one and only, Kumar Sangakkara. An incredible specimen. Absolute. The thing about Kumar is once he got in, he went big. Right? He didn't do like 120. He gets in, it's 190 and you're fetching leather all day. Or you just, he's batting all day. Absolutely incredible. Look at that record, 12,400 runs, 57 average, arguably top 2, top 3 wicket keepers of all time. Unbelievable. 10,000 runs in Test cricket, 10,000 runs in one-day cricket. Very, very rare. Incredible specimen. Kumar Sangakkara at number 4. At number 3, I I don't think we've seen anybody, and it's enigmatic. It's the ability to play with the freedom that he did in a team that wasn't very good largely for a decade of his prime. He still maintained an average above 50. He had the world's highest score twice in Test cricket. He's the only human being to ever score 400 in Test cricket. There's nothing more to be said about this guy. The talent is off the charts. We're looking at an individual talent. Forget the team context. At number 3, there is only one BC, ladies and gentlemen. At number 3, the great, the absolutely brilliant and unstoppable run machine. That is Brian Lara, 48 50s, 34 100s. There's never been anything like him. My God. Leg spin. Shane Warne says he's the greatest batsman he's ever bowled to. Shane Warne says, you're the greatest batsman ever? My word. What a player he was. Is there a more entertaining player that has ever been successful? I'm not too sure. At number 2, the weight of a nation, the weight of 1 billion people for 20 years, 200 test matches was on this man's shoulders. He started at the age of 16. 16. Do you understand? To be in India and start at the age of 16 and to be the best for 200 test matches, you got to be something else, because they don't mind cricket in India. 1 billion people's hopes on your shoulders. 200 test matches. I don't even need to say anymore. 10,000 runs in both forms of the game. The most runs in the history of test cricket. At number 2, quite simply the statesman of world cricket. Right? There is nobody more universally beloved. Quiet, humble, never said a word. If you're a bowler, generally, especially in India, you're fetching leather all day. A cover drive that is just carved by the gods. High elbow, follow through. He's about 3'6'7", shorter than Peter Dinklage, I think. But my God, India's greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 2, the little maestro, Sachin Tendulkar. Look at that record. Look at that. 15,900 runs. 50, the only man to have 50 centuries or more in Test cricket. It's an unbelievable record. 15,921 runs at an average of 53. If that isn't greatness, I don't know what is. Sachin Tendulkar, the hopes of a nation on your shoulders. He's more important than any prime minister in India will ever be. Ever. Quite great. Sachin Tendulkar, the little master, quite brilliant. At number 1, for me, it's undisputable. It's undisputable. And he really distanced himself by also being the captain of the most dominant cricket team of all time. Listen, captaincy is tough, man. We've seen they had to take it away from Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar couldn't handle the pressure of being captain. He can handle the hopes of 1 billion people. Listen, being the captain's a different story. At number 1, look, he also has marked it by an innings I went to live and saw the most incredible 100 you will ever see in a World Cup final. Big time, this guy turned up over and over and over. He was part of 3 World Cup winning teams. A maestro in the biggest cauldron in cricket. Was playing for Australia for 15 years. He was undoubtedly the best when he came in, and he was the best for 12 years of Test cricket. It wasn't close. Worldwide, wherever you went, tough leader, and I believe the greatest fielder of all time as well. But this is just about the batting. For me, it's not just about numbers. Right? I don't do empty calories, people. I don't do empty calories. Had my body measured the other day, I'm at 11% body fat. I don't do empty calories. Don't bring that to me. When you make the runs, do we need you? When you make the runs, are we on the road? Is it the Ashes? Are you winning that for me over and over and over? Can you deliver 3 World Cups in a row? You certainly can. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 1, and it's not close, he's the Leo Messi of cricket. The one and only. The greatest fielder of all time, and it's not even close. But certainly the greatest batsman of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Ricky Ponting. Punter. I mean, 13,000 runs, 51 average, 41 hundreds, 62 50s. The unquestioned leader of the most dominant cricket team of all time. Didn't matter where they went in the world. I was at the series when they dominated us here at their peak. They were drilling everybody everywhere. And he did the most important thing. He went to India and won a series. War couldn't manage it. Border couldn't manage it. Went to India and won a series, part of 3 World Cups, and played crucial innings in all of those World Cups. An absolute behemoth. There's never been anything like him. And to captain under that pressure and still maintain a 51 average and still go and make 13,000 runs and still be that good in both forms of the game. Tendulkar's not close to this guy. Listen, I love Sachin. By the way, I like Sachin. Maybe love's a bit strong. I love Jacques Kallis. But this guy and the big time, and I love Steve Waugh, by the way. But when you mix toughness and ability like this guy, at number 1, Ricky Ponting. No one's close. Nobody's close. You can bring what you like. Listen, under pressure, Ricky Ponting's the greatest. In terms of toughness, all right, I'll give you Steve Waugh. But toughness and talent combined, punter. Any day. He's it. Right, he could play aggressive cricket. He could knuckle down. At number 3, he really could have opened. An absolutely incredible player. Dad, give me that list again. I think it's going to be very tough to knock any one of these guys out. The Australians, it only makes sense because they were so dominant for two decades. But Sangakkara, the greatest Sri Lanka have ever had. Easily the greatest Sri Lanka have ever had. And Kumar Sangakkara, by the way, has a case to make against Sachin Tendulkar for me of being the greatest Asian batsman to ever live. He has a real case. He has a better average, and it's not like he's got that many runs less. And he played in a way worse team. If Kumar had taken his country to a World Cup, I would have had him above Tendulkar. Because a 57 average is outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. Tendulkar, though, just the weight of runs, sheer weight of runs, and then that dream World Cup at home, of course. Brian Lara is Brian Lara. Kumar's, it's wild. And then Steve Waugh, toughest man to ever play cricket, but out on his own, the Leo Messi of batting. Ladies and gentlemen, Ricky Ponting. That is my greatest batsman of all time on the Friday 5. Yeah, solid list. Love to know what you think. We've got the Q&A coming up. So that'll be coming up after this. Really looking forward to taking a few questions and then heading into the weekend. See you in a little bit. Right, welcome back to it. Dave, let's get straight into it. I mean, let's get into the Q&A and let's tuck into some of the great questions our listeners have for us. David, what do you have for me on this fine Friday? Senzo Sitebe says Mourinho failed at United dismally. I think that's harsh. Dismal failure is if he had been straight after Fergie and they'd given him what Ollie's had £400 million basically. If you'd given Mourinho £400 million right at the beginning, straight off Fergie's title-winning team, and Mourinho hadn't come second and won your Europa League title, I'd say dismal. But it was a new environment when Mourinho came. City were here with Pep now. Liverpool were here You know, they were coming, and then Jurgen came along, and then Chelsea were still at it with Hazard, who was for 5 years the best player in the league. Did Mourinho fail at United? You'd have to say, by his standards, yes. You'd then have to say, did United back him? And I guess, listen, you can give me excuses or you can give me solutions. Mourinho gave you too many excuses. And the one thing about Jose Mourinho, he's always going to be on a short leash. Right? In life, if you become unsavory, if you're a confrontational character, generally people give you that shorter leash. And I think Senzo maybe is part of that, is Mourinho's style isn't great to watch. Right? We know how life works. The better looking someone is, the better looking anything is, the more you give it a chance. You know, any cell phone, if it's got a nice cover, we give it a chance. But it probably doesn't work as nicely as I don't know, iPhones are really ugly, but they work really well. So, you know, Mourinho, I think, was a victim of probably form over function. It really, I mean, United on the outside looked like they were killing it, but there was lots of dysfunction on the inside. And we get caught up in this trap all the time as people, right? Form over function. We see it all the time where you look for the most beautiful person to date, not the best person to date. You look for the nicest looking car, not the best, most functional car that you need. You know, if you need a family car, what are you doing at 40 having that midlife crisis and getting a convertible? These things happen around us all the time. So Mourinho failing dismally it only lets you know how high Mourinho's standards are, I would say, because I think it's harsh, but I'm not a Man United fan, and Jose Mourinho has done nothing but deliver at Chelsea in his time there. So interesting thought from a Man United fan. David, what do you have? JR Senior says, today was the start of the final test match in England against Pakistan. Do you have a prediction and thoughts on the Pakistan team? I do have a prediction. I think it'll be a draw, because I don't think England are going to play to win. I think it'll be a draw. England want to win this series, solidify number one in Test cricket, and yeah, I don't think much. I don't think Pakistan have the team to go and bully England. You know, sometimes when you come over with that, I mean, they've got a 12-year-old in their team, Pakistan. I mean, he's 16. That is quite incredible. So for me, what do I think of Pakistan's team? The tragedy with Pakistan is this. It's the same thing with India, and I'll say to a lesser extent. It's not organized. Pakistan's not organized. So it's never a talent shortage. Is that the admin is a mess. So it might be what you consider South African football or most of South American football, because you look at the leagues across Europe, packed with Brazilian players. Brazil haven't had a World Cup winning team since 2002. It's 18 years. Do you understand? At the same time, at a stage, right? At the very same time, they had Robinho, Adriano, Ronaldinho, David Luiz, Marcelo, Dani Alves. This was the team at the same time. They had Ramirez, Oscar. That was at the same time. They had that team. So sometimes Pakistan, I guess they're more like, they're Bafana of cricket, I would say. Is all of the talent, but because, number one, the political situation in Pakistan is tricky, right? They're always kind of on the bubble. But then also, we know they've had their brushes with the law at every single level. So their players are very often set up to fail, and it's so tough. That's why you have to admire Yunus Khan getting to 10,000 runs. You really have to admire somebody who survived all of that. That is serious fortitude, by the way. So the current Pakistan team, I never have an opinion because I know it'll look different in 2 years. I know it will. Because the administration, it's like they're picking a lucky packet who they want in. There's no sort of medium-term thinking. Forget about long-term thinking. So what I think of the current Pakistan team, it's the same as always. Prodigious talent, no admin. It'll be no good in a year. It'll be no good in a year. I hate to say it because I love Pakistani cricket. And we remember in the 90s, they were just, I mean, has there been a team to have legends, the level of Vakar and Wasim at the same time? Those are 2 top 10 bowlers of all time? Surely. That is special. Outside of Australia. Australia is a unicorn. But that is special. Pakistan have been special. Not a talent problem. Bafana's problem of being run like a spazza shop on the corner. Dave, next question, please. Jesse Randolph, with the Champions League final days away, what's your favorite all-time final? Probably 2012 Chelsea versus Bayern. Hey, Jesse, do I have a story for you about the Champions League final? So that one in particular, I was back at university by then. I think I was failing my second year of the 5 that it took me to become certified. But I remember watching that at university, and I said Drogba always has moments in finals. And I remember watching with guys, and everyone said, where's your Drogba? And last minute, what does Drogba? Oh, towards the end, what does Drogba do? Absolutely incredible performance. So as a Chelsea fan, of course, my favorite to watch. But my favorite for a number of reasons. 2008, I was actually at the Champions League final in Russia with my uncle, who surprised me with that as a present. John Terry slips, misses, and then the rest, of course, is revolting history because Cristiano Ronaldo had missed. And really, the person to blame isn't John Terry. Nicolas Anelka takes maybe the worst penalty in the history of mankind. And I'm sitting at the end of the penalties. But I've never had, it's one of the greatest experiences of my life. So it's not the greatest football experience of my life. I mean, I do have one better one, and I'll tell you that maybe another time. But that as a football experience as a whole, we were there for 3-4 days, 2008 Champions League final in Moscow. And it was an absolutely, United fans, Chelsea fans, the banter, drinking, partying, just really 2-3 days, incredible energy to be around football fans like that. So I'd have to say 2008, Jesse, because I was there. Wasn't the greatest game, but in the end, Chelsea lost, and it was a real roller coaster of emotions. I have to be honest. And yeah, we lost. Chelsea lost, but my God, what an experience. When you get to experience a moment like that, the highs, the lows, Chelsea scoring, United scoring, Ronaldo missing the penalty, Anelka missing the penalty. Oh, man, just absolute drama. And then it was raining as well. And it was raining the whole time, by the way. I'm not sure if people know that. So we were outside. I mean, I was pretty well oiled up by the time I got inside. But we'd been drinking since maybe 3:30, and it was raining, and we'd obviously met Russians, and it really became a thing in the street, and it was an unbelievable time. So it's a very long answer to say 2008 is my favorite final, and nothing will come close, and it's only because I was there. My saddest final ever as well, I guess. But just the best time, and one of the greatest experiences of my life. 2008 Champions League final, Manchester United against Chelsea. Dave, what's next? I'm not sure if Jesse asked for a prediction there, but I think Bayern win that quite easily. I think 3-1. Lulama Kabaga with the comment of the week. Roy Keane once said he would not let Harry Maguire back on the team bus after his one dismal performance. This was a thing of talking about, I think guys were talking about leadership. And I was saying, look, I don't need my leaders to be liked. I want my leaders to lead. And if we're Man United, if we're the best, we're going to win. And I think we've seen an example tonight where Harry Maguire's put himself in a tricky situation. Because if you haven't seen it, Harry Maguire got arrested in Mykonos. Listen, I've been to Mykonos. It is a good time. It is a very good time. So you let your hair down there, and it feels like a paradise, and it's really built to party. That's what it's built for. Mykonos is not built for tourists. It's built for absolute heathens to go and be debaucherous. Now, what I don't understand is, this lack of self-awareness. Harry Maguire is not just a Man United player. Harry Maguire is the Man United captain. I don't get it. But the point of that message from Lulama, I think, was when I said, look, I don't have to like my leaders, and I don't have to like the people. I'm not a moralist. You don't have to be an angel. I mean, Roy Keane was no angel himself. But in life, there is also something that is called be who you can afford to be. And I have a personal story about this. When I played pro ball, right, at Tottenham, at Watford, I used to be a booze bag. But I didn't have the talent to be doing that. There's no excuses. I have no excuses. Earlier on, I used to blame everybody around me. But in hindsight, no excuses. I wasn't good enough to be a booze bag. And when I went to Russia, I was drinking with all the Brazilian guys. They'd pitch up Wagner Love after we were throwing down tequilas and Jaeger bombs maybe 2-3 hours earlier. He'd come in smelling like booze and play like Pele. I'd come in because my talent level was like a 1, really. I was more of an effort guy, and it was a mess. Be who can afford to be in life. And great leaders understand this. I mean, if it was Roy Keane that had been arrested in Mykonos, we have a different conversation to have. He's a generational leader. Harry Maguire, it'll tell me everything I need to know about Manchester United. How they deal with Harry Maguire will tell me everything I need to know about Manchester United. But the point is, you don't have to like your leader. The point is, if you want to be Man United, you want to be at Chelsea, you want to be at Bayern Munich, we're here to win, Chief. And you must lift the dressing room standards, both on and off the field. Doesn't work otherwise. Doesn't work otherwise. Unless you're Roy Keane talent, unless you're Pavel Nedved talent, unless you're Frank de Boer talent, right? Unless you're Paul Gascoigne talent. You can be a mess off the field, bring it on the field, you're still the guy. But those are once in a generation. You're not going to get Roy Keane again. I don't have to like Roy Keane for him to be the best. And I totally agree. He was a nasty piece of work. But I always said this. I will put Roy Keane, right, if I'm picking a Premier League 11. Roy Keane's my first name on the team sheet. Because it's almost like having another manager. What does that do? It relieves you of having to look after the dressing room. I'm focusing on tactics. I'm focusing on scouting. I'm focusing on youth development as the manager of a football club. Fergie did that for 15 years. I don't have to care about my team. Right? Essentially, in the dressing room. I'll do tactics and worry about the next kids up. Roy Keane, don't have to like me for me to be your leader. So I totally agree there. And that's the type of standards he had. He had no problem calling people out. Don't see it anymore at Man United, and that is why they are where they are. And now it looks like their captain is a bit of a booze bag. So let's see how that works out for Maguire and co. My God. Senzo Sitebe says, the only guy possibly better than Fourie is Gregan. I have to vehemently disagree there. I don't think it's close. Number one, size matters. Fourie du Preez is 90 kilograms. George Gregan was, I'd have to say, probably closer to 75. So, no, already there. But then also, Fourie du Preez has got the greatest off-the-deck pass ever, and Gregan could pass a bullet, but Fourie had an absolute tracer bullet. And Fourie du Preez has got the greatest box kick we've ever seen. And Fourie du Preez is the best cover defense, number 9, rugby's ever seen. Puts you in a tough spot. He was called the Emperor because he would command the pack better than most people have ever seen. Victor Matfield, I'm going to take his word for it. Hopefully a guest we've got on Monday will tell us a little bit more about Fourie du Preez. I'll ask him about him. And he, let me not give away who that guest may be, but he knew all about Fourie. So Gregan's not close. There's no comp for Fourie du Preez because he's the best off-the-ground passer in the history of the game, the best box kicker in the history of the game. He's right up there in terms of decision-making with any scrum half that's ever played in the game. So he's already untouched for 2 of the most important traits in rugby for a scrum half. And he's as good as everybody else in every single other trait. Great support runner. How many times you see him there for that final pass to go and finish or the assist? Led 2 dynasties. I mean, I guess Gregan led that famous Brumbies and Australian dynasty, but I'm afraid not. And I like George Gregan a lot. But Fourie du Preez is, I hate to use the same analogy, he's the Leo Messi of rugby, or the scrum half position. He certainly, for me, separates himself. But he's saying possibly even closer. I'll forgive Senzo there, but I think it's a bit blasphemous to even mention anybody's name with Fourie du Preez as a scrum half and a comp. So, no go for me. I can't go with it, Senzo, I'm afraid. I can't even entertain it. I have to dismiss it, nip it in the bud. Fourie du Preez, the greatest scrum half to ever play rugby. It is not close. David Leroux. JR Senior. At least the list has a West Indian on it. How can we forget that all-time Test 11? Once again, let's not confuse me picking individuals, right? Individual ability versus picking a team. When I pick a team, I don't pick fantasy teams. I'm going to pick you in your place. I'm going to pick you in your speciality position. And, Lara's, I'm sorry, the West Indies would have lost to Afis's first team, Afrikaans Boys High School in South Africa, for those international viewers. Probably the best in the last decade or so as a cricket team. And we've got Hudson Park now down in the Eastern Cape. But no. I mean, that all-time 11, I picked roles. And Lara's the greatest they've ever had. People will argue Sobers. I don't know. People will argue for whoever. Lara's the greatest they've ever had. Guy got a 400 in a test match. He got over 375 twice. Get the hell out of town. So I understand the question, because Lara didn't make my world 11. Doesn't mean he's not, as an individual, an absolute all-timer. So that is my answer to that, JR Senior. Brian Lara, oh my gosh, what a player. What a player. So aggressive. Anything. He could he used to take test matches away from teams like that. In a session, just 85 in a session, just boom, test match is over. Or it swings the other way. And Shane Warne got dominated by him. Senzo Sitebe says, Jacques Henry Cullis, 166 tests, 13,289 runs, 55 average, 45 hundreds, 58 50s. Come on, mate. You know what my criticism is of Jacques Cullis? In an era where, for the last 6 years, right, South Africa dominated cricket. 3 prime years of Cullis. I've looked at it. South African batting never really dominated and put people away. And I've got a problem with that. He had a bit of a silver spoon in his mouth, because for so long, South Africa's bowling, right, made sure we were never really chasing 250. When was the last time you can think of a Protea team just crushing somebody, batting once? I can't remember the Proteas batting once in a test match. I can't. And this is with a team where the bowlers were keeping everyone below 200 all the time. Morkel, Rabada, right? Steyn, Philander. We're looking at a bowling lineup that was bowling people out for 47. Where was Cullis then? I needed Jacques Cullis to really put his foot on the throat of teams. And you can never say the Proteas were ever crushing anybody, right? So Cullis really, really had it good. For the last 6 years, Jacques Cullis never batted under pressure. And he still just couldn't quite, So for me, I love Jacques Cullis, and he's probably a better defensive batsman, but the one criticism I have of Cullis is he never put his foot on the throat of teams. He's more likely to save you a test match than win you a test match. And that's really important for me. All 5 of those guys would play every range of innings. If I need to bat at 80 to turn it around, a strike rate of 80 will do it, right? If I need to hang around, I'll do it. Cullis was, you hate to say a guy with 4,500s was one-dimensional, but Jacques Cullis was a bit one-dimensional. And he batted with Amla, he batted with Smith, he batted with A.B. de Villiers. But the Proteas never quite took a grip of world cricket with an all-time bowling lineup. That's my criticism of it. It's so good for so long. And he was never quite the guy. I don't know what it was about Cullis. He couldn't take it there. So, and all those 5 took it there and back, I'm afraid. And listen, why does he have less runs than Kumar Sangakkara? That does not make sense. That does not make any sense. Because Kumar Sangakkara played in a rubbish cricket team for his entire career. Not a mediocre team. All he had was Mahela Jayawardena And I'll give you Chaminda Vaas. Right? I'll give you Chaminda Vaas. Some might say, okay, Woude Muller, fair enough. But all he had was Mahela Jayawarna. Cullis had everyone. Graham Smith, one of the greatest opening batsmen of all time. A.B. de Villiers, people will say he's the greatest South African batsman of all time as well. I don't know. You can have your arguments. I'm not big on A.B., but okay. Herschel Gibbs. I mean, do I need to go on about the names that Cullis had around him? Why did these other guys have so many more runs than him? Why does Kumar Sangakkara have more runs than Jacques Cullis? Makes no sense. Yeah, I can't go with Cullis. And listen, we're nitpicking. An absolute great. An absolute great. JR Senior says, listen, MK, can we get some consistency here? When it suits you, he played in a bad team and carried them to greatness. Or it's much harder to play in a good team, greatness. Listen, it's harder to play in a good team. I agree, which is why I think Jacques Cullis couldn't live up to it. I don't know if that's a response to Jacques Cullis. Jacques Cullis was in a great team, right? And he really kind of shrank. He really did. It's like, at what stage? I'd like someone to go and look in the last 10 years. When did the Proteas bat once? What it tells you is Cullis was better at saving test matches than winning test matches. And I need more than that if you're going to be better than Steve Waugh. So that the baseline is Steve Waugh. And think about the amount of innings where you can go to yourself, Australia should have lost that by a country mile. The greatest Australian teams should have lost that. Well, what are they, 50 for 4? And then you see that guy walking in. He doesn't play any pull shots. He has no arm guard. You're like, oh, no. They're 50 for 4 again. And then you take a nap on the couch because you probably got a hangover. It's Sunday. They're 300 for 6. Jacques Cullis, not that guy. So I'm consistent. It's harder to play in a tough team. And Cullis was in a great team and never quite took us to the promised land and failed in World Cups, by the way. Jesse Randolph says, I don't know if you know AFTV. It's the biggest fan channel on YouTube. Aubameyang had an Instagram call with one of them. It looks like he's staying. So, Jesse Randolph, I am one of the biggest fans of AFTV in the world. We're trying to actually see if we can get them on the channel because I love what Robbie Lyle has done. He's opened the space for people like myself to make a living off this space, working on YouTube. I love AFTV. I watch it religiously all the time. And the guy you're talking about is Troops, who's brilliant. He has a connection. And you know what I love about Troops is he keeps it real, dude. There's this kind of thing of you have to speak English a certain way. You can't bring who you are. And he's quite, so he's Patois, being West Indian and from a certain part of Jamaica. He's Moroccan, I think half Moroccan, half Jamaican. And he he's from the streets. And from what I understand, I'd love to go and watch and learn more about Troops. Maybe we can have him on the show someday. But he's very close to Aubameyang. I've seen that on the channel. Do I watch AFTV? Absolutely. Robbie Lyle, Don Robbie, as they call him. I love AFTV. Their content is brilliant. I love all of those guys. It's brilliant what they did. They decentralized the power in sport. They have more viewership than Arsenal Football Club, by the way. They have more viewership than Arsenal Football Club. All started with a camera and a man and his passion. So, yes, I saw that. I'm actually still going to watch it. I saw about 5 minutes of it. Absolutely love AFTV. I just got a comment in my ear, by the way, about another famous online channel, but I cannot disclose that. England 2012, when Amla makes 309 not out at the Oval, and Cullis and Smith also makes hundreds, and we crushed England batting once. All right, 2012. Come on. You got to include who the bowling lineup is there as well, by the way. Steyn, Morkel, who's in that team? 2012, Pollock. And England were dog. They were nonsense at that stage. And listen, I'm not taking away from Cullis. Is he top 10, top 5 all time? Yes. Listen, Cullis is, I have to be objective. Jacques Cullis is the greatest overall cricketer of all time. That's not close. Guy could open the bowling or the batting. But when you get into rarefied air, you're going to have to be the guy. And I'm afraid Jacques Cullis had it, relatively speaking. All right, let me put it to you this way. Would you say Brian Lara or Kumar Sangakkara had it easier than Jacques Kallis in terms of the quality of the competition he was in, right? And the standard of the team. So it's harder to play in better teams. I totally agree. And I will stay consistent with that. But if you put Brian Lara in that Protea batting lineup with Gibbs, Smith, right, AB de Villiers, Hashim Amla to protect him, I guarantee you Brian Lara is making 15,000 test runs. I'll say it right now. I'll say it right now. Right? Kumar Sangakkara might get 18,000 test runs. So I can't go all the way with Jacques. I've just too defensive, too one-dimensional. But is he top 10? Come on, let's be realistic. 4500s, 5550s, a quite brilliant batsman. I don't want to be the one that asks Bradman about Bradman on your list, but someone like Amla before he lost his way, was he even in your top 10? Hashim Amla in my top 10? No go. Didn't do enough. Had too much mediocrity at the beginning to be top 10. And Alistair Cook, top 20, because opening the batting is the hardest job in cricket. To be around that long, you're for real. But no, Alice, unfortunately, another big part of being great is once you get into the rarefied air, if you aren't an absolutely special talent, you got to win a bit more. Alistair Cook did not win enough, I'm afraid. But as an individual, quite brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I mean, to have that many runs, good effort, solid effort. You might, it'll be an argument. I'm never going to take Langer, or I'm never going to take him over Langer, over Hayden. But certainly, and in rarefied air, Alistair Cook. I'll probably take Graham Smith as well, above Alistair Cook. Bradman played against Milkmen and whoever. Okay, it's a romantic story, but get that out of here. No, not buying it. Played again. No, don't give me that. He was not it. Senzo Sitebo, Messi considering his future Barcelona 1. Messi considering his future at Barcelona. 1, who can afford him? 2, if he does leave, where does he go? I think it's just bait, because if he leaves Barcelona, it's to go back home. And that is, he's always said, if he plays elsewhere, I will play at Newell's Old Boys. Of course, Gerardo Martino, the connection there. I think Leo Messi had a bit to do with Gerardo Martino getting the Catalan job. All right, Leo Messi, number 1, is not leaving. It makes the second question absolutely redundant. I think it was all political games to make sure that they get somebody that gets the way Barcelona's run. Listen, Messi understands this thing. He needs Barcelona as much as they need him. The story, and a guy like Leo Messi strikes me as smart. He knows what has to happen beyond football. Don't upset people at Barcelona. You look at Luis Figo, not allowed back, left to Real Madrid. It's still vilified. They'll throw pigs' heads at him. Leo Messi's smart. He understands don't upset anybody, but he also understands his power that he has. And it'll be considered unacceptable in Catalonia right now for him to leave. He's not going anywhere. They just lost Xavi, Iniesta, right? Busquets probably at the end. Messi will play another 3-4 seasons, and then he'll go on to be an ambassador. They need each other. It's not just that he needs, it's not just that they need him or he needs them. Leo Messi's not going anywhere. And now they've got the prodigal son back. You could argue right now the guy who's just come back is a top 5 player of all time. He is beloved. He is absolutely beloved as Ronald Koeman. So I don't think Leo Messi's going anywhere. I read a report that Leo Messi's actually coming back early from holiday to have a meeting with Koeman. I'd imagine that's going to reshuffle a few things. Mark my words, I said it here first. Antoine Griezmann will not be a Barcelona player next season. You heard it here first. Leo Messi's not going anywhere. He's the most powerful man in the Barcelona organization. They need each other. Barcelona needs him, right? La Liga, and remember, there's always the pressure from the leagues as well. La Liga will do everything to hang on to Leo Messi because they've just lost Cristiano Ronaldo. And they're battling enough against the rise of the Bundesliga, right? The Premier League's killing them. So Leo Messi going nowhere. Dave, what you got for me? Jesse Randolph, Roy Keane versus Patrick Vieira were great matches. would you put Vieira in your Premier League 11? Jesse, I've already picked my Premier League 11. And did I pick him? No, I would not, because even if I played 2 in the middle, I picked Frank Lampard. I'll post that. It was one of our Friday Fives greatest Premier League 11. I'm afraid if I've got Roy Keane already, right, why do I need Patrick Vieira? If I've got Roy Keane already, and then I've got Lampard next to him. So Keane will do all the dirty work. And by the way, in his time, Roy Keane, a great box-to-box midfielder, 100 career goals. And then I've got Lampard, who will get me 15 goals a season as my other one in a 4-4-2. In a 4-3-3, then definitely not, because I've got Claude Makelele in my team. So, and I think, hey, but Patrick Vieira, I mean, he was in our Friday Five. He was in the top 5 greatest Premier League midfielders of all time, an absolute beast, technical, and he looked like a basketball player, but technical. And another guy, right? Patrick Vieira, here's what I loved about him. Wenger could go and focus on everybody else, because as soon as Patrick Vieira stepped in that change room, and I've read stories, I read Fabregas's story. That's why Fabregas wore number 4. He loved Patrick Vieira so much. Vieira steps in there, things got more serious immediately. You've seen him go on to become a rather successful manager in America. It's kind of worked out in France. He's being groomed either for Man City or for Arsenal. Arsenal made a mistake by not offering him a job. He is beloved at the Gunners and one of the all-time greats, not just at Arsenal. Patrick Vieira lifted the whole dressing room. He was their Roy Keane. I mean, that invincible, he was the aura. He was the guy. What an incredible, incredible player. He could do everything. He could go box to box. He could tackle. He could pass. Part of that French, of course, dynasty as well. Oh, absolute. Now that you bring him up, what a beast. But Roy Keane, yeah. The thing about it is, he's unlucky to be born at the same time as Roy Keane. Because Keane's a unicorn. That type of ability with that mentality, it's impossible to have that, right? It's like Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. These guys that are off the charts talent, generational talent, and then they've got that bastard in them. Ugh, man. It's a pity. It's a pity Keane was around at the same time. Otherwise, Vieira, we may be talking about as one of the greatest of all time as well. Dave, what you got? The Rig says, some more hypocrisy, inconsistency, limited overs. Limited overs cricket doesn't matter. I don't watch World Cup. It's a joke. Ponting is great. He won 3 World Cup trophies, which is why I said the greatest batsman of all time. But, okay, let's just take tests. Let's just take test cricket. Right? Greatest captain to ever play cricket. Easily. Right? And the greatest batsman. Right? Over 13,000 test runs. No, you're not going to knock me off Ponting. Like, the guy dominated cricket. You know, he oversaw a team that won 16 test matches in a row. Like, what do you want from that guy? Well, what do you want from Ricky Ponting? Which is why I said it's the greatest batsman of all time. And I know like some people like one-day cricket. To me, okay, you kind of mentioned it as a point, but Ricky Ponting's the best anyway. Aggressive, winner. And what I love about Ricky Ponting is that's the difference between Ponting and Cullis, right? Ricky Ponting won Australia more test matches than anything. He drove test matches forward. Cullis just didn't have that in him. He'll survive and make big hundreds, sure. But sometimes you need somebody with a bit of killer, and we're going to take the game away from you. Jacques Cullis could never take the game away from anybody. Senzo Sitebe. This is a tough one for me. Senzo Sitebe says, Sevilla Inter, the Nerazzurri. So I am a massive Inter Milan fan. By the way, my favorite footballer of all time wore number 4 for Inter Milan. El Trattore, of course, the one and only great Argentine captain. He could play right mid. He could play center mid. He was world class at left back. He was world class at center mid, box to box, holding mid, right mid, left back, left wing back, right wing back. I mean, yeah, my favorite player of all time is an Inter guy, and there's a big reason. I'm a big Inter fan, so I have to say Inter tonight. I think Sevilla have, Sevilla have pushed themselves to the limit, and I think you started to see the legs going against Man United. If Sevilla played a decent team in the semi-final, they would have probably lost. Luckily, they were playing Man United, but I think the tank is empty now. You saw that against United; they started to really suffer in that last 20 minutes. Although, having said that, teams must be exhausted, absolutely exhausted. So what I'd love to see is Inter win. I'm an Inter fan, but my down the middle prediction, I just think Inter will have too much for them. You know, they got Laruto up front along with a guy who never hit a strap at United or Chelsea. I'm still not a big fan. Romelu Lukaku. People loving him, saying, you know, I saw something sickening the other day. People saying he's got one less goal than Cristiano Ronaldo, Ronaldo in his debut season. Please, people, let's just stop for a second. Stop comparing Ronaldo to this guy. Right? Lukaku's mediocre at best. He's not very good. He's not. So for me, Inter Milan, I'd say 3-1. They've got too much. They've got too much ability all over the park. And Conte's a great coach. He's not for everyone, but he's made for Italian football. Conte's a great coach. And Conte wins big matches. Conte's a great coach. I think 3-1 Inter Milan, they'll have too much. And I think that Man United game probably took it out of Sevilla, but my God, are they good. And Ever Banega, by the way, one of the greatest playmakers European football has seen in the last 10 years. Goodbye to him, because it's been awesome to watch that maestro operate. And yeah, so 3-1 Inter. 3-1 Inter Milano. Dave, do we have one more question before we let the people go and enjoy their lives? I think we've got one more, folks. Sensitive says they had a meeting that at Messi's house, and apparently it didn't go well. Hence my question before. Interesting. I'd be interested to see whether it didn't go well with Ronald Koeman or with the politicians. Listen, there's no way. Let me promise you right now, they would rather fire the CEO, the chairman, than let Leo Messi go. He's everything to that football club. He's shaped. You know, people think Barcelona have been great forever. They haven't. They've been in the shadow of Real Madrid since the 50s of Di Stefano until the late 90s. Then came, of course, the Dutch Revolution, and the rest is, my God, glorious history. They've only got 5 Champions League titles, by the way. Excuse me. All of those were won with Leo Messi being there. Oh, he's won 4, I think. But he's won most of their titles. So Barcelona's real Titan success is very, very new. Leo Messi is the greatest they've ever had, and it's not close. And they had Johan Cruyff, who has a move called the Cruyff turn, named after him. So it didn't go well. Listen, let's keep an eye on that story. Let's let it develop, because it didn't go well with the politicians. I'd like to know with Bartomeu, or it didn't go well with Koeman. Bartomeu is not making it out of this situation. I think Leo Messi's had enough of this bollocks. They're going to need to get somebody else in as the president. But it's impossible to let Leo Messi go, especially whilst you're rebuilding. He is the prodigal son. Leo Messi out the building, no chance. So my opinion is Leo Messi stays. And let me tell you something. You heard it here first. Barcelona win the Champions League next season. They will play the Barcelona way. It'll be back. Ronald Koeman will get, once again, like I told you, get the nonsense out of the dressing room. We are more than a ball club. We will do it the Barcelona way. He'll probably bring Dutch and Barcelona players who were educated in football in a similar way. And let's take this thing forward. Ronald Koeman's going to do it. And once again, I've always said this. You need the city and the club to be together. It's very unique, much like Liverpool. The city and the football club have not been on the same page in Liverpool for 30 years. Along came Jurgen Klopp. They got a connector now. The crowd can feel him. The players can feel him. The city and the club are connected. Leo Messi is the connection. It'll be absolute suicide. I just don't see it. I don't see a viable way for Leo Messi to be let go. And to be honest, I think La Liga will step in. People might think it's illegal. It happens all the time, by the way, in sport. La Liga will have a meeting with Barcelona to say, we cannot afford to lose the second greatest asset in world football right now. Right? Commercially, Ronaldo's a different animal. But Leo Messi is everything to La Liga. They lose him, it matters. He is a genuine pull. People watch Barcelona, even if you don't like Barcelona. Even if you watch La Liga, you'll tune in for him. So I think if Barcelona don't get it right, it'll head upstairs and they'll sort this thing quickly. Keep an eye on it, though. Senzo Tsebo, thanks for that update. Really looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. Folks, for this week, it has been a different ball game. We are having a great one this weekend. Be loved. Stay safe, subscribe, by the way, like, share, subscribe. Of course, as you can see at the bottom there, YouTube, the Gram, Facebook, tweet about the episode if you want. Let us know if I'm crazy, if I sound crazy. Let's start a conversation. CliffCentral Sport. Otherwise, if you've got your topics, suggestions, what do you want to see? Do you have guest suggestions? Maybe, the great thing about the digital world is connections around the world. I don't know, an Argentine footballer. sport@cliffcentral.com. What can we do better? What do you want to see? Who do you want to see on the show? Do you want to be on the show? Because remember, the beauty of the digital world, again, will involve everybody. Right? Let's bring it together. The more the merrier. A pleasure shared is a pleasure doubled. Ladies and gentlemen, this week it's been an honor to be with you. Next week, bumper guests. We're going to be back to bring you a bumper list, a bumper edition of some awesome guests. By the way, we've got a really big guest next week. I'm really, really looking for that and announcing that one. And then hopefully Monday. But let's stay tuned for that. We will keep you updated. Look out on the social media, ladies. And for this week, it is the 21st of August in the COVID year of 2020. It has been an honor to thank you for joining. It has been a different ballgame.